It's a go everyone to the All Elite Wrestling Full Gear pay-per-view review. Of course, AEW Full Gear aired live on pay-per-view this past Saturday on November 9th. I did not watch this show live because I was in San Jose attending the New Japan Pro Wrestling New Japan Showdown in San Jose. Of course, I do have a live review and experience video up on my channel if you guys want to, feel free to check that out. But yes, that is the reason why I did not watch this show live. I was finally able to get around after watching it, after it's been almost a week now. But finally got around to watching the show, and I'm here to give you guys my review of it. So without wasting any more time, let's go jump right into the video with my overall thoughts on AEW Full Gear. Now, I thought it was a very solid show. I thought it was very good. Two great matches that really stand out. But besides that, nothing else really stands out. It's one of those shows where it's really good, but there's really no reason to go back and watch it again. And there's really nothing special about it. Nothing really stands out about the event itself. It's just one of those shows it's really good. But if you miss it, you didn't really miss anything. But if you want to go ahead and, go back and watch it, it's a show you can go back and watch. So, I don't know. It's one of those shows to me. So, very good show, but nothing really spectacular about it. Nothing really go away to see. I wish AEW, wouldn't have their pay-per-views run so long either. I feel like some of the matches would have benefited by losing some time. Majority of the matches were almost, 15 to 20 minutes each, which I just felt like, I'm all for giving matches time, but, sometimes shaving a few minutes actually benefits a match rather than, helping it. So, the pay-per-views are usually like 3.5 hours to 4 hours, which I don't know why. I wish they'd stick to 3 hours, but since if they're gonna do 4 pay-per-views a year, I guess that kind of gives them a pass to do longer shows. And then if they do like those free, like Bleacher Report live stream shows, like Fight for the Fallen, Fighter Fest, those can be like 3 hours. But I don't know, just a little, I guess me a little nitpicking. I wish it would have been a little shorter in time, but it's still an easy show to sit through. Everything was pretty much a breeze, nothing to complain about at all in the show by any means. But of course, for the main show, we did have the buy-in, which featured Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D. We get it, she's a dentist. You don't got to keep reminding us. Versus B. Priestley. This match has been building since, Fight for the Fallen, where B pretty much KO'd Britt Baker. It was a fine match, something you'd pretty much see on Dynamite. Not really much to it. Britt Baker had some progression in. They had some nice sequences. B's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan of her. I don't think she's good by any means, but I thought she held her own pretty well against Britt Baker in this match. They had some nice sequences. They had some nice near falls towards the end of it, but Britt Baker ended up getting the submission victory over B. Priestley. Like I said, it was a fine match, something you'd pretty much see on Dynamite, and then of course afterwards, Brandy Rhodes came out with Awesome Kong. Awesome Kong beat down B. Priestley, and then they cut off a lock of her hair. What the fuck they're doing with Brandy Rhodes is beyond me, and I honestly don't care, but it's just, I don't know. Everything with Brandy Rhodes in terms of being AEW, I don't see how anyone can defend that. I think everything she's done has been garbage in terms of, like, her being her own character. Like, the whole finger point thing a few weeks ago, like, what the hell was that? I don't know, but, yeah, they're cutting people's hair off, apparently, now, and they're gonna make Brandy a psychopath, which, Awesome Kong's gonna be her, like, muscle, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, it was what it was. Like I said, fine match on the buy-in. Then we go to the main show, which opened up with the Young Bucks taking on Santana and Ortiz. This was a solid match here. I will say, I think my expectations were a little too high for this, because I was expecting this match to be, like, blow away, but it really wasn't. Not that I'm complaining. I wasn't expecting, like, a spot fest where it's just a bunch of high spots, bunch of madness sprints going everywhere, because I still thought this match had a really good storytelling psychology base, which Young Bucks can do. I know Young Bucks have been kind of known for being spot monkeys and whatnot, but when they want to tell a great story, they can, and I feel like they're doing that here. But I think the reason why I didn't like this much as others, because, again, it's kind of me nitpicking. I felt like Nick selling his knee was very inconsistent. There'd be times where he was perfectly fine, and then, like, when you go for the Meltzer driver, all of a sudden he'd trip on the rope and sell his knee, and then he would sell it for a little bit, then he would act completely fine for, like, a sprint, and then he'd be selling it again. I don't know. I thought the inconsistency of the selling kind of hurt the match for me, but it was still very good. Love the antics of the Young Bucks at the beginning of it. Excuse me, I apologize. A great spot where Nick was able to, or Matt got a blind tag on Nick, and then Nick was able to kind of lure Santana into a huge spear from Nick, which I thought was great. Ortiz, his overselling get a little obnoxious sometimes, but his oversell with the super kick I thought was fantastic. Young Bucks were very dominant, and then Ortiz and Santana got the upper hand, worked on Nick's leg for a good while. And then towards the end of the match, a bunch of craziness ensued. And then, the match went to the outside, some high spots. Nick kicked the post, which would, sell into his leg again. Ortiz wiped out Nick completely on the outside, which Nick just face planted to the apron. Just some good, classic. It was honestly a good, classic, old school tag team wrestling match, honestly, from these two tag teams. But of course, Ortiz and Santana got the win at the end against the Young Bucks. And yeah, like I said, it was a very solid opener. My expectations, I expected more, honestly, but but for what we got, I still thought it was very enjoyable. No complaints from me. And then, of course, you know, you had Sammy Guevara come out with the vlogging camera, and then, you know, Ortiz and Santana start to beat down the Young Bucks, which introduced, you know, the Rock and Roll Express. They come out, and Ricky Morton hits a fucking slingshot destroyer on, I believe it's Santana, which, you know, you can tell Santana had to assist him, but to see, you know, someone of the age of Ricky Morton hit a Canadian destroyer was pretty badass. So, you know, they incorporated Rock and Roll Express, obviously, after what happened with, when they tried to crown the first ever AEW World Tag Team Champions, when they ambushed them there. So, it made sense. But, yeah, that was a cool little moment for them, I guess. But, yeah, good way to kick off the show. And then we go to Hangman Adam Page taking on Pac, which I still don't like calling him Pac. Pac is a better name, but what can you do? Great intensity from both men here. The aggression was very noticeable. They went out there and pretty much laid their shit in, which I thought was great. Page, you know, took a great dive onto the outside from Pac. Pac was just very vicious. You know, he had a mean fucking brainbuster on the outside into a chair in the corner, which came off so nasty. I thought for sure Hangman Page broke his neck there. But these two beat the shit out of each other. You know, Pac was very dominant, and he did a great transition. You know, Hangman Page tried to hit the Deadeye, and then he was able to counter into the Brutalizer, which I thought came off fantastic. And, you know, Hangman Page went for the Buckshot Lariat. Pac countered it with a huge super kick, and then Hangman Page just eviscerated him with a huge lariat of his own, and a pin the Deadeye for the 1-2-3, and Hangman Page ended up defeating Pac, sorry. But yeah, that was, like I said, I thought it was a very good match. I enjoyed it. You know, I don't think I liked it as much as their match on the first edition of Dynamite. I think that match might be a little bit better, but these two definitely had the aggression. They definitely had the intent to beat the shit out of each other, and I felt like they did. Although I will admit, I do think these two are capable of having a better match. I don't know, I just feel like watching these two, I envision a really, like, a fantastic match, and I feel like they just haven't got to that level yet. They, no pun intended, haven't shifted it out of that gear yet. You know, they haven't gone to the next gear I feel like they could go in terms of their matches, but yeah, great stuff from Paige and Pac. Like I said, I enjoyed it for what it was. Joey Janela taking on Shawn Spears, another match you'd pretty much see on Dynamite. I don't think anyone cared for this. You know, Janela took some bumps to the outside, like, you know, he took a scoop slam and did a senton to the outside. But yeah, not really much to say about it. You know, Tully Blanchard got involved towards the end. Ended up helping Shawn Spears actually hit an assisted tombstone. Well, not tombstone, I apologize. A Gotch-style pile driver on the outside, and the referee wasn't paying attention. Spears threw him back in, hit his finish, 1-2-3, and Shawn Spears defeats Joey Janela. Like I said, not really much there about it. I didn't really care for it personally, but what can you do? And then you had the three-way match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Of course, SCU defending against the Lucha Bros, as well as Private Party. Again, kind of similar with the opening match. I think my expectations were a little too high. This match was very fun, but I feel like they could have gotten more out of it. You know, Rey Fenix is just so fucking good, man. He was definitely very impressive, as well as Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky definitely had some cool moments and definitely had a great hot tag in this match as well. And, you know, Private Party, again, they continue to have very good showings. I feel like every AEW match they've had, they've continued to impress, and they definitely deserve to be over and definitely be future AEW World Tag Team Champions. But, yeah, there's a lot of craziness ensured. You know, Rey Fenix taking everyone out on the outside for a huge spot. And then, you know, towards the end, SCU ended up getting, hitting their finish on, I believe, Isaiah Cassidy to get the victory. So, SCU obviously retained, and it kind of sucked because I don't think the crowd knew the finish was going to be the finish, because the finish was kind of flat. It kind of got no reaction, but like I said, I don't think people were expecting that to be a finish. But of course, afterwards, Lucha Bros were attacking SCU. Lights go out. Lights come back on. Another Pentagon is in the ring, and it's none other than Christopher Daniels, and of course, hits his finish, Angel's Wings, onto Pentagon to take him out, and that was the segment. So yeah, it was cool to see Christopher Daniels come back, and definitely adds to the story with Lucha Bros and SCU. Hopefully, maybe we can get a huge stipulation match between SCU and Lucha Bros. Even though, honestly, I feel like we've seen that match several times at this point in AEW already. I feel like we've gotten it 2 or 3 times. I don't really care to see it again, honestly. But for a blow-off on an episode of Dynamite, I'd love to see a stipulation match between the two tag teams to finally take them out. So, yeah, that was a very fun match overall. But like I said, I do think I was expecting a little bit more to happen. And then, of course, we go to the AEW Women's World Championship match. Riho, of course, defending against Emi Sakura. You know, both these two competitors know each other very well, and I feel like they went out there and had a really good Joshi match. It kind of sucks because AEW is like producing these Japanese women's matches, and I feel like the crowd really doesn't know how to react to it until they start wrestling. Obviously, Sakura was very charismatic, coming out dressed as Freddie Mercury, which I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, they had a very solid match overall. So very good back and forth. A lot of chain wrestling. Riho hitting some good spots, like hitting a huge double foot stomp onto the apron onto Sakura, as well as back in the ring for a great near fall there. Sakura got some near falls as well in Riho. You know, some nice roll ups and going for a finish a handful of times where Rio's able to get out of it. So it was a pretty solid wrestling match overall. And the ending was very good as well, with them just exchanging pins back and forth, and then Riho hitting a running knee and then eventually pinning Sakura to retain the AEW Women's World Championship with a small package. So yeah, that was a very solid match overall. And Riho continues to get over. I feel like every time she performs, she gets more over, and the crowd, you know, respects her and wants to see her more. So great stuff for her, and I definitely think she's doing a great job as the first ever AEW Women's World Champion so far. So yeah, definitely enjoyed that. And then we go to which is technically the last match on the official card, because the final match is a non-sanctioned match, so technically doesn't count. But the non-official main event, which was, of course, was for the AEW World Championship, Chris Jericho defending against the American Nightmare Cody. Going into this match, I didn't really care for it. I thought it was kind of a boring first big world title match. But you know what? The story they've been doing was great. And you know what? I'll say this, Cody, if there's one thing he excels in, it's big time storytelling matches like this, and he definitely came out to play. I thought him and Jericho had a fantastic storytelling match here, just from him being busted open right away from, you know, trying to do a suicide dive, just eating shit and going face first into the ramp and busting himself open, just pouring blood throughout the entire match. Jericho is working over Cody throughout it, and there are some sick counters as well. You know, Jericho went for the Judas effect, and Cody caught him beautifully into the crossroads, which I thought came off greatly. And then, you know, Cody going for a disaster kick, Jericho caught him into the code breaker. So some great stuff going on. Jake Hager got involved, which, you know, ended up getting himself ejected, and then MJF laughed at him, then he beat the shit out of MJF, and then, you know, it came down to Cody and Jericho for a little bit. But yeah, this was a fantastic match nonetheless. The crowd was really into it, especially towards the end. You know, the near falls got really, really close, and you honestly got to the point where you didn't know who was going to win. Jericho locked in the walls of Jericho, which Cody got to the ropes, and Cody's just pouring blood, and it looked like Cody was done. He got hit, you know, with several things, and of course Jericho locked him into a very deep lion tamer, which Cody's just looked like he was dead. And of course, you know, they end up having MJF throw in the towel for Cody. So Jericho retains the AEW not Women's World Championship, but the AEW World Championship. And of course, stipulation stated that if Cody lost, that he would never challenge for the AEW World Championship ever again. Doesn't matter who the champion is. He is no longer allowed, there we go, if I can speak, allowed to challenge for the World Championship. So I'm very interested to see how that goes going forward, to see if they actually stick to their guns. They're saying that they're going to stick to it completely, that he's never allowed to get a championship match ever again. But, you know, like I said, it all depends if they actually keep their word to it. But yeah, great stuff with him and Jericho. Like I said, Cody definitely excels in those matches. He proved it at Double or Nothing, you know, with Dustin Rhodes, and back at All In last year with him and Nick Aldis. He excels in those matches, and he definitely proved it with Jericho. And then of course afterwards, you know, MJF tried to explain himself to him and end up kicking Cody in the balls and turning on Cody, which everyone in the world saw coming my way. But it was done greatly. You know, they had a plant throw a beer on him, which was a great touch. Little things like that make a big difference, and definitely made it for the moment even more. But yeah, MJF turning heel. I guess he's now in the inner circle with Jericho from this past Wednesday in Dynamite. So yeah, good stuff there. And then of course, to go to the non-official main event, I guess, as well, because it is an unsanctioned match, but it is a lights out match between Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega. These two went out there, and personally I thought had a great match. You know, I know this match is getting a lot of mixed reviews. A lot of people liked it, a lot of people didn't like it. Me personally, I thought it was great. Did I think it went a little too long at some points? Yeah. Did I think some of it was a little too brutal for my liking? Yeah, but you know what? This match was supposed to be dubbed as a match where two guys are just beating the fuck out of each other, and that's exactly what they did. And that's exactly what a lights out stipulation needs to do. AEW cannot have these matches happen frequently like they have been doing. This needs to happen for a feud like this, where it's been building for months, and gets to a point where they're like, you know what? We can't be reliable for what these two do. Put them in a lights out match, so that way they can kill each other for all they want to do, and we're not responsible for it. This feud definitely warrants it. And I hope AEW uses the lights out stipulation for purposes like this. It should not be thrown around on an AEW Dark episode or just a random show. It needs to be saved for feuds like this. But yeah, like I said, the match itself was very brutal, very bloody. They took a lot of spots, like I said, that made me cringe. But you know what? I'm not taking away from the match. I still thought it was great, just a little too long. And yeah, just absolutely crazy. You know, Moxley introduced a barbed wire bat, which he beat the fuck out of Omega with. But then Omega got out his own sweeper with barbed wire in it and then sweeped the back out of Moxley, which just made me cringe the fuck out of it. What made me cringe was when Kenny Omega dragged Moxley through broken glass. That made me cringe like no tomorrow. The match went to the outside of the crowd. They went onto the ramp where Kenny Omega hit a huge V-trigger through Moxley through the Full Gear like little logo. That was just chilling there. They went through that. They did a suplex through like a bed of barbed wire, which is just absolutely insane, the fact that they did that. Back in the ring, they just did a whole bunch of crazy stuff to the point where people had to come out and help. Omega was just being overtaken by just purpose of destroying Jon Moxley. You know, he had the Bucks and Hangman Paige come out to set up the little barbed wire table for them to go through, or the bedding, I should say, because it wasn't even a table, it was more like a bed of it. That spot just makes me cringe just thinking about it. Back in the ring, Moxley takes the ring apart. Omega goes for a Phoenix Splash, but just eats shit, and then Moxley hits the Paradigm Shift for two count. Then Omega ends up hitting his own, well, it was more of a Dirty Deeds, but ends up hitting that on Moxley for a 2 count. Goes for the One-Winged Angel, Moxley gets out of it. Ends up hitting the Paradigm Shift for the 1, 2, 3. Onto the exposed wood, by the way. It was right on top of the wood. It looked very, very painful. 1, 2, 3. Moxley defeats Kenny Omega in the Lights Out match. Just absolutely insane. Like I said, a lot of stuff they were doing was very brutal. One of the most brutal matches I've seen in a while, by the way. I don't remember watching a match this brutal in quite some time. I don't watch a whole lot of deathmatch wrestling, so I'm pretty sure there was some random, you know, indie wrestling matches more brutal like this, but you know what, like I said, I don't really watch that, and like I said, even though this wasn't really my cup of tea in terms of brutality, I can appreciate it. I can appreciate they put their bodies through to entertain people, so it was still definitely a great match nonetheless. I'm not taking anything away from it. It was great, but like I said, a little too brutal, which some people are like, oh, you're just a little bitch then, but I don't know. Like, I love watching guys beat the shit out of each other and destroy each other like that, but it gets to the point where it's like, when you're literally scraping barbed wire against their back, it's like, okay. It gets to the point where I'm just like, I can't handle it. You can call me a wuss all you want, but it's just a little too much for me. But yeah, and like I said, it went a little too long. It went like almost 40 minutes, which I'm not complaining. The match flew by. It didn't feel like 40 minutes, so I will say that. But I don't know, it's one of those things where I feel like, you know, there's times where they could have shaved a few minutes off and it could have benefited more. This is my opinion though. But yeah, Moxley defeats Omega. Great match to close out the pay-per-view. Definitely match of the night, in my opinion. You know, either that match or Jericho and Cody. I'd definitely say are the best matches on the show. But besides that, like I said, overall I thought AEW Full Gear was a solid show. Very good pay-per-view still nonetheless. You know, it wasn't as good as All Out, not as good as Double or Nothing, but it was still a solid show nonetheless, and it definitely made me want to tune in more for AEW. And you know, I thought it was a very good show overall. Like I said, just nothing really too special and really nothing really go out your way to see. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, please feel free to leave a like below. And of course, until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for watching the video.